Okay, we're here today with Justin Cornett. He is the president of For All Tennessee. It's a nonpartisan group, doesn't worry about much about party affiliation. So, with that, I'm going to ask Justin to tell us about uh, his organization.
Hey Charles, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your folks.
Well,
Um, For All is the product of wondering who could lobby on behalf of regular folks instead of the big moneyed interests, and what that would look like. And we're an organization that doesn't do Republican or Democrat politics. We um, focus on one principle, and that one principle is moving policy that empowers people or limits government. If it does those things, we're interested in seeing a piece of legislation succeed around it, and we're willing to work on it. And if it does not do those things, then we are not going to have anything to do with that particular piece of policy. It's going to be in someone else's wheelhouse. So,
cool. Um, so, do y'all just focus on state level issues, or do you get involved in local level issues?
no,
Tell us about that.
it is just state level issues at this time. We're trying to focus on ways that we can. Decentralization is probably a good theme when looking at our organization. We want the state to have more power versus the federal government. We want our cities and counties to have more power versus the state. The smaller the group we have lobbying for issue, or making the rules, the larger portion of that population you represent.
Right. Um, okay. So, tell us about some of the things that y'all worked on this session. Wait, before we do that, did this group, this organization, when did it become about? When was it birthed or whatever?
We were birthed a little bit after session opened this year, around January 19th, I think. So we're in like the 120 days range. And we've gotten, sorry,
I
a lot of
don't feel it.
attention, including from the dogs.
Yeah.
But we've gotten a lot of good support. We've actually fundraised really well, despite not having a coordinated effort focused on that to this point. We've engaged at least probably 250,000 people in those 120 days. So yeah, just getting started.
Cool. So, as I said before I changed the question on you, sorry about that.
Right.
But I told you the other day I would probably have things pop up in my head, and I may ask you some follow-up questions on some things. But so, tell us about some of the issues that y'all worked on this year in session.
Sure. We try to work on issues that really stand on their own merit and are just sensible policies that pretty much everybody can agree on. So civil asset forfeiture, for example, was a big thing for us. We worked 4 different bills on that for people that may or may not know what it is. Criminal forfeiture is where you are a drug dealer and you're arrested, and they confiscate the house that you bought with your drug money and they auction that off. Civil asset forfeiture is the same thing, except for they never have to charge you with a crime or convict you of anything. They can just take the property and auction it because they think that it's going to be part of some sort of a crime.
Let
Uh,
alone even arrest
yeah. They can just take the property. They don't have to do anything at all to you.
you. Right.
But it's one of those things that had good intentions, and it's always been around in the United States in some form, but it was typically reserved for piracy, and it's something now that's been turned on our own people, and it's had an adverse effect for sure in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So what, that's one issue. What other issues have you worked on?
Sure. We got a really good bill through that was a better bill that protects small businesses. It prevents cities and counties from labeling businesses as essential or non-essential. The thought being it makes it a lot harder to close a group of businesses if you can't classify them in this way. You know what I mean? Um, Originally, the bill also applied to the governor's office, but it was not going to make it through in that form. So that language was amended out, and we were able to get the bill through with it applying to cities and counties.
Um, I'm gonna go back to the civil asset forfeiture bill.
Sure.
Y'all had one of those bills that passed the House. Did it make it through the Senate and the governor's desk?
Yeah, we got one bill all the way through, and it changes the cap on attorney's fees, which we kind of hope will change some of the calculus on this civil asset forfeiture takings. And we had two other bills that were serious bills. One of them had a $384,000 fiscal note, and we couldn't get that squeezed into the budget or the auxiliary money after the budget. So it died. And one was a reporting bill where the Department of Safety told us it would cost about $2 million to tell us how many criminal convictions are eventually tied to a civil forfeiture, because they can't take that information. It's impossible to collect that apparently.
Now, did that one get sent for summer study or did it die?
It died. It did not get a second in subcommittee and ended up not being heard. So we're going to bring that one back next year. I've had conversations with lawyers, judges, court clerks, all that say it is possible to collect that information. So we're going to devise a strategy to make sure that these people get in front of subcommittee.
Okay. Was it your all's organization that was also pushing the ballot access?
We were. That one was a disappointing bill. And again, for the listeners, this is about running as a candidate. And if you would like to run as a Democrat or Republican or independent candidate, you need 25 signatures to get on the ballot from registered voters in the district. If you want to run as any other party, Green Party, Libertarian Party, Constitution Party, Kanye West Party, it's 56,082 signatures. So we had a bill that would have reduced that number to around 12,000. We walked into subcommittee with 5 yes votes on an 8-person subcommittee, 5 confirmed people that day. One of our yes votes got up and walked out of the room while they were discussing the bill. They called the vote. We won the vote 4-3, and the chairman gavelled it for the noes. And there was nothing we could do about that.
How that happened?
That happened no less than 4 times this session on other bills.
Who was the chairman of that subcommittee?
In our case, it was Chairman Rudd, Murfreesboro area, Tim Rudd.
Wow.
Ironically, it happened to him the day before. A very similar situation. His situation was actually way worse. But yeah, it happened to him the day before.
Wow. So we can have a vote and then decide how the vote went?
It's a voice vote, and it's up to the chair's discretion to call it the way he hears it.
But doesn't the bill sponsor have a right to ask for a recorded vote?
He does if he asks for a recorded vote before all the conversation about the bill. He cannot come back at the end of it and
Right.
ask for the vote to go on record.
So the lesson learned is we're always going to ask for a recorded vote from now.
We should, but the dynamics are that kind of sends a signal that you might not trust the chair, which can build some negative feelings between members and chairman. So there's a weird balance to strike there.
Yes.
It's an interesting dynamic that one of the things that I did learn this year that that kind of etiquette matters a whole lot more than you would hope it would.
Right. And yeah, I get it. Trust me. But
Yeah.
I, the reason why I'm asking these questions, so because a lot of other people may not know this, so I want to ask those questions.
Right.
So
Right. And I think that minutia is very important to understand. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to get bills through, unless you've got the support of, that handful of right people that can really shove it along.
right. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. There's a reason why, as I've said before, there's a reason why people are in leadership positions.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There
And
are.
they use those leadership positions well, uh, both ways. You
Yep.
either do what we want you to do, you won't be in that spot next year. We've seen that play out this year, right?
We've seen it play out
Yeah.
over and over and over again, and conversation after conversation about it. But it's a democratic election, right?
Right. Right. So, okay. Uh, so tell us about some of the things that you may have planned for next year. I know you said you was going to take up some civil asset forfeiture stuff again next year, but what other?
Well, we're hoping to.
Yeah.
And, the way that our organization works, it's quite a bit different than every other organization out there. Most organizations, you throw money at them and then they come back and say, okay, this is our budget and we're going to do, X, Y, and Z with the money that you gave us. With us, we're very member driven. My partner in crime on this likes to refer to what we're doing as the democratization of a 501c4. And it really is what it is. We are going to throw a bunch of ideas out in front of people that are members in our organization. And the members are going to tell us what they want us to work. So we don't know what we're going to be working 100% next year because there are, lots of different channels it's got to go through. But we hope to be coming back to civil asset forfeiture and ballot access. There's a bill that you may or may not be familiar with that gentleman in Jefferson County brought, Mr. David Seal, which was a really good bill around blighted properties. Currently in Tennessee, blight is not defined by property, it's defined by an area. So you can live in a neighborhood that's got 50 houses in it. One house can be legally blighted and they can take the whole neighborhood.
Wow.
Yes, that's the way it works. We had a bill that would have contained the takings to just the blighted properties. And we couldn't get it out of subcommittee. We didn't have votes to get it out of subcommittee.
That's wild. And
It is.
it
It's protecting the ability to, take areas that don't put a lot of tax dollars into the system that are owned by people that can't afford much more than that.
right.
And give it to people that can get more tax dollar revenue out of the property.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's a sad thing that we do, and we do it.
Yeah. That's what most people call theft.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a very common word you would use.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah, and it's a bad thing, but I mean, there are lots of things that we would like to do. There's so many things that fit in that wheelhouse of empowering people to live in government. But we actually encourage the members in the organization to bring us ideas, and we put those ideas in front of the board and the advisory board, and put them back in front of the members, and that's how we kind of derive what we're going to end up working with. So we hope to have most of our agenda set going into the winter, maybe into November, December area. But you know how these things work. You don't know what bills are going to be brought all the time. You're not always writing the legislation. So you got to be a little bit flexible with it.
yeah, a lot of times you're fighting against legislation that you didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, that's true too. But that is one thing that we want to do very sparingly. The Tennessee State House brings 1,500 bills every year to session, and 1,475 of them are awful, and we all know it.
Right.
So when you're to me, if you're just going and grabbing a bill or two that's kind of bad, you're ignoring the other 1,473, and it seems like you're just calling out the sponsor or somebody like that, trying to pick a fight or something, and that's not what we want to do. We'll do it if it's a bill that it's just necessary that people are informed on it and can make their own decisions to call their representatives and stuff like that. But generally speaking, we want to focus on what we can do as opposed to what we can't, or as opposed to what we can't do.
Right.
So
Okay. Now you said that your organization has a board and everything,
yeah.
but for the people who may want to follow your organization, maybe get involved, is there some way they can do that?
Yeah, 4ltn.org is the website. And it's a really beautiful website. Our executive director, Josh Eckel, put it together, and he does really good work in this field. It covers all the issues that we were looking at. You can look at our report card where we are taking the temperature of the representatives on these issues to see where they stand, and we update it as we go, as positions change. A lot of useful resources on there. The case studies for the issues give a lot of information and background information on why we pick those issues, why they're important.
You say that is 4ltn.org?
For all, FORALLTN.org.
Okay. FORALLTN.org.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And like I say, a lot of good information on there. And the way that we do this, like say, I think we had 8 or 10 different issues this year, and you would be able to go down through each issue. Civil asset forfeiture. We got a really good bill on no-knock raids passed, that had the support of law enforcement, the governor's office, and TBI, and Police Chiefs Association. Everybody was on board on it. It almost passed unanimously, and it's a really good bill. But you could take each one of these issues that we're working and say, well, I really like that issue, but I don't want any of my money going to that issue, so I'm only giving to this one. That keeps the money separate. The money does go toward that one issue. It allows us to do ag campaigns on that issue, or hire additional lobbying efforts on behalf of that issue. Whatever we need to do in order to get it passed. But we have it set up that way to where we're not always going to agree on everything, but everything that we're going to do is going to either empower people or limit government, and we should work together on the things that we do agree on. It's really that simple.
So people, that was your website, but if I'm not mistaken, you have a Facebook page as well.
Yep, we got Facebook, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, actually. You can find those on the website, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. I'm actually on the website about. Well, maybe we don't have links to that. I'm sure we do somewhere, but I don't know where. This is where
Usually,
I
but
need Josh.
most of the time they put them all the way down at the bottom of the page. So
Take action. Yeah, I know. I'm just not sure which page you put that on.
yeah, but we know that you do have a Facebook page and
Yeah,
Twitter, and you said Instagram too, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And like I say, in this short 120 days, we've been wholly focused on legislation until session stopped this last week. Now we're shifting into more of get the word out, but we've added. I think we're up to 1,400 likes on Facebook. We have had posts that have cleared 30 and 40,000 views on videos. We've got 5,000 on Twitter. So I mean, we've gotten quite a bit of traction in a very short amount of time. And like I say, the next step is trying to get into local meetings everywhere, set up our own meetings.
right.
To your question earlier, yeah, we are setting up some stuff. Probably going to start out with some socials, invite some representatives that might have had a piece of legislation that we supported, or an area of legislation where we would like to talk a little bit more about what we can get done and what's real and all those good things. So but yeah, all those things are coming. We'll have all those things on the Facebook page. So I'd encourage you to follow us on the Facebook page at the very least.
Right. Well, I know you and some of the guys is working with you and everything. And
Yeah.
I know you're good people and everything, and you're fighting for the right causes and stuff. And that's why I want to do this, kind of help put the information out there and everything. And you know, all the other media, they want to focus on what's happening in Washington and all the other
Yeah.
stuff. But people like us who are fighting for our rights and liberties and everything, we have it hard to get our message out there. So I want to try to help you guys.
Well,
Too.
we've been dominated by personality for a long time, and it just gets worse and worse. Everybody wants to talk about unity, but everybody's looking for things that divide us.
Right.
So we're kind of trying to take the opposite approach. We don't care what party you are. We know that everybody out there thinks they should be free to do something that they are not free to do currently, or that the government's doing something that it shouldn't be doing. It's
Right.
really that simple. So let's all have a conversation about all those different things that we would like to see change in that, unify around that, and get some good legislation done that benefits the people.
Right. Good deal. Anything else that you can remember that you forgot that you want to get in, or anything?
No, man. No, just like I say, if you want to get involved, go to the website and click on more. You'll see it right there. Get involved. We need people that want to help us organize in their communities, help us set up meetings in their communities. We need people that want to go to the Hill. We need people that want to help us do research. We need help people that can help us identify good issues that need to be worked on. So we're a very interactive organization, and if you just reach out to us, we'll reach right back out to you. We want to have a conversation.
Yeah, and it always helps when you're working on an issue to have people show up and visit legislators
Oh yeah.
and everything when you're doing that. We all know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
And
it's good to build those relationships. When
right.
you live in those communities, it's good to build those relationships too.
Yeah,
So
and it also works that when you make those connections all throughout the state, and you do have somebody that's a legislator from an area that you can have people contact them that's their
Right.
constituents that
Right.
can help you make that contact and voice
Well,
them to
and I
you.
mean, that's the thing. But there are a lot of issues out there, Charles, that both people on the left and people on the right think that the government should move on, but the government doesn't move on it because one party doesn't want to and the other party does, but that party's got power and we can't let that party get the win. So we just never move on it. We can, if we can just show our legislators that we're coming together through an organization that works for issues that they care about, we can force a lot of people's hands and we make a lot of big changes. We can walk into their office and be like, we got 75% of your district that supports this piece of legislation. Will you support it too? The odds are much higher that they're going to say yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And identifying those people in those communities is huge to help do
That's
that.
it.
And
That's it.
and that's why I wanted to get the information out there. So if people agree with some of the issues that you're working on, they can find out how to contact you, and you can
Yeah.
guide them in which ways they can help.
Yeah, like say, if you just go to the website under Take Action, you can join, you can start a membership, you can donate, you can contact us through email. And if you do use the contact us email, both Josh and I and a couple of our directors all get the email. So that we can, make sure that we're addressing the conversation in the way that we need to. So, um, but talk to us, participate. We want to help out. Oh, I found the Facebook stuff. It's on the drop down menu.
Cool.
That's about to put it, but yeah.
All right. Good deal. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me and everything. I think it's great that we can help each other and
Yeah.
help other organizations. And like you said, it's not about a party. It's about our rights and our liberties and everything. And that doesn't come with parties. And once we get around that, we're a lot better off. So I
Quoting
appreciate.
Frank, yeah, quoting Frederick Douglass, work with any or unite with anyone to do good and no one to do harm.
Right. So anyway, well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I'm hoping to do this with some other folks as well and help us spread the message and what we're doing, maybe help us in the long run to win those battles. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you, and I'm going to stop this recording, but stick around for a few minutes, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Everybody have a great day, and look forward to some other videos. Thank you.